1 Corinthians 5, verses 7 through 8. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. In Acts 20, verse 6, it says, quote, "And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread." Why make mention of unleavened bread if they weren't keeping it? And why wait until after unleavened bread to sail away from Philippi? Ask yourself that. Do we have evidence in history of the church keeping the feast days? In the early 5th century, Chrysostom was bewailing the fact that there were people leaving the Church of Rome and starting to keep the Sabbath, and they also started observing, quote, "the Feast of Trumpets, the Feast of Tabernacles, and the Feast of the Great Expiation," end quote. Expiation is atonement. That's Bingham's Antiquities of the Christian Church, book XVI, chapter VI. That's Bingham's Antiquities of the Christian Church, book 16, chapter 6. I'll read it again. Chrysostom was upset that people were leaving the Roman Church and started to observe, quote, "the Feast of Trumpets, the Feast of Tabernacles, and the Feast of the Great Expiation," end quote. I don't remember in Leviticus 23 reading that the feast days were commanded only for those that are living in the land of Israel at that time. We know Israel kept Passover in Egypt. People need to be very careful when they're teaching others. They need to read what this book says for itself, read it for themselves to see what it says, and they need to be acquainted with some church history. You could look through history and see where the true church was keeping the Sabbath and keeping the feast days. There are other references I don't have time to give you right now. I'll close with this, Matthew 5, verse 19. "Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." Peace all.